Hey people out there, my name is Vince and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're completely new, and happy BreyerFest, way! So I'm gonna do the most and highly requested video finally, which is the room and collection tour. And this is actually perfect timing because I moved back into my parents' house because of COVID. So right now my collection is quite nicely spread out between 2 or 3 rooms because I moved back into my old room and I'm also using my sister's room. So I actually got 2 rooms right now to use. One is like a working space, where I'm right now, and then one is a bedroom. So my collection is really nicely laid out. I've got a lot to show. So buckle in, get your cup of tea, and then I hope you enjoy this collection tour. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna go through this room first. This is kind of my working room, where I've got tables to work for my uni work and then model house work, and got like nice living area. I've got some of my cabinets here. I've got my film collection here, another sofa, a little kitchen bit, and then yeah, let me just start kind of over here. I've got Captain America, yay, that I got in the US. We've got some painting that I did years ago. And then we've got the Captain America shield, which I got at Goodwill for $5 back in the US. We've got some of my models here. We've got my Big Cat series models, and also my medallion that I made into a bee. I'm not quite sure if you can see it properly. It's fairly dark, but this is my Sapphire medallion by Kylie Parks that I turned into a bee. And then this is my desk where I work for uni-wise, which is quite nice. Then this is my kind of desk where I sculpt, so it's actually quite nice and clean, and I've got this amazing light that I can like dim, and it's, oh, I'm freaking loving this. I also have this turntable, so I can get reference pictures up on here, and then sculpt from there. And this is my kind of prep area, where I do a lot of drumming and stuff, so I don't mix like the sanding bit with the sculpting bit. So yeah, that's actually quite nice. And then I obviously got all my tools here, got all the fancy things here, and then this is my kind of work in progress shelf, which is quite nice because I can work on them, paint them, and then they don't get dusty when I just put them back in. I also do have some ribbons up here that I was winning all with model horses. None of these were won with actually like real horses. This is all model horse related. I've got a picture of me with a horse that I used to lease. Oh my god, look at me, baby Vincent. And then we've got my lovely Mr. Z Shire. So I really like this guy. I got it straight away when it first came out because I knew I had to get this guy. He's so incredibly detailed, he's so nice, and I'm so glad I got him. So yeah, he's just chilling up there. And then randomly in this glass thing I've got a donkey. And then let's just take a closer look at my film collection. Okay, so as some of you maybe know, for everyone that follows me on Instagram, I went down that rabbit hole of Disney and Disney dolls, and I'm a massive fan of Frozen 2 now. So this whole shelf is dedicated to my favorite films, TV shows, and all the stuff that I bought from it. So we're gonna start on top of here with my Captain America merch. I've been a massive fan for years. I've got so many random things. I've got some pop figures and stuff. And then obviously, she doesn't really count in the Wonder Woman, but I'm a big fan of her as well. So I just included her here with all the other superhero bits. Then we have The Last Unicorn, and everyone who knows me knows that I'm a massive fan. So I actually got 2 figures from Think Geek, I think it was, or some website that produced these Last Unicorn figures. And then I do have so many different DVD and VHS versions because for whatever reason I thought this year, you know what, let me just try to collect as many DVDs and VHS versions as possible. So most of them are German. So in the background, these are like all the German DVD versions. I've got all the German VHS versions that they are. I've got a CD, I've got a LP, a vinyl, and I've got one film, treasure of my collection, in French. And then these are the only 3 DVDs I do have in English. One of the DVDs came with this cookie stamp thing. I've got some stickers as well. But honestly, the heart of my collection is this book, which is signed by Peter Spiegel, which is the author. There we go. This is the signature, and it says for Ruth because I didn't meet him, but like a really lovely person in the hobby got 2 books signed when she met him, and she gave me this one for free. This is why I love this hobby, because, you know, we connect on a so deep level. So I'm so grateful for this collection. Obviously, I want to let it grow even more with more DVDs and get as many international DVD versions and VHS as possible. But this is my collection for now. I'm also having like a lot of struggles to kind of showcase DVDs and VHS because you can't really see all of them that are like hidden in the background. So that's quite sad. But I just love the different art and covers that they released throughout the years, because I mean the film came out in the 80s, the book came out way earlier than that. But anyways, let's move on. So I've got my quadriga here, which are my 4 Smarty Jones costumes, and this is like slightly influenced by the Ben-Hur film, so that's why this one is here, because otherwise you probably would think, why is that in your TV and film shelf? Then moving on to my Dragon and Daenerys Targaryen model. So I actually have never shown this model on my Instagram because she isn't quite done yet. Well, the model is done, but the base isn't. My friend did an amazing job at doing her hair, because she did all the braiding, like Daenerys Targaryen, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But as mentioned, she isn't quite done yet. That's why I haven't shown her. And she's surrounded by, first of all, the Game of Thrones Oreos, which you can't see at all, but someone got them for me in the US when the last season of Game of Thrones came out. And then I do have my few dragons that I own around her. These 2 are McFarlane dragons, the other 2 are Schleich dragons, but I absolutely adore them. They are freaking gorgeous. Okay, moving on to my limited edition dolls. So, if you don't know, Disney is releasing different versions of limited edition dolls. I don't know how tall they are, but so they're releasing the really big ones. And then these, I think they're called Fairy Tale Collection, which are a bit smaller. And then these plastic cases, which are really nice. So we do have in the background Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, which is really hard to see, but her hair is all around him. His face is freaking gorgeous. And then we have Elsa and Hans. And then in the background we have Cruella de Vil with some of the Dalmatians. I do have one Jim Shaw Bambi because I adore that film. And I've got a key here, and we've got a pop figure of Hercules on the Pegasus. So this is the first bit of kind of my Disney collection. Second bit is my Frozen 2 collection. As some of you may know, I've been obsessed with this film. So my treasure of the collection is my big limited edition doll, Elsa. She was released earlier this year, and I was lucky enough to get her through the Disney shop, which was the most stressful time of my life. But I'm so glad to have her in my collection. And alongside her, I do have a couple Nock figures, because I collect them. So if you haven't seen Frozen 2, this is probably a massive spoiler. But there is this water horse, which I fell in love with. So I just had to collect as many figures as possible. We also have the Elsa Disney key they released a couple of weeks ago. And we have the Frozen 2 art of in the background. Then up here we have kind of my pop figure collection. So I actually do own all Nock versions. So we have the water Nock in the background. We have the ice Nock right here. And then we have Elsa on the riding Nock, which I really like. And then we've got 2 versions of Elsa, her traveling outfit and her spirit dress at the end. We do have a bit of food in the background. There are some cheese packs from Elsa that a friend of mine gave me from the US. And then we've got some tissue paper that my friend got me. And we've got the Disney Store figures. But also, absolutely favorite thing in my collection is this novelty light that I got at Target, or a friend of mine got at Target. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And the best thing is, as it's a light, it lights up. And it's just freaking stunning. I really like it. I think it's the best Elsa figure they have really done. And for the price, it's just absolutely stunning. I love her face. I love the Nock details. I think overall this light is definitely worth it. I think I paid like $30, so not really too much. And then let's just go down here in this corner, which is a freaking mess. So I'm actually planning on doing a diorama scene out of Frozen 2 with the Knock and the Wave and the castle. I don't want to spoil too much. And this is all the things I'm probably going to use for the diorama. So this is why this shelf is a bit of a mess. So you know how in Evolution some were like hunters and some were like collectors? I'm definitely a collector, because once I knew I'm going to do this diorama, I collected like empty things and empty bottles and other things I could find somewhere to use maybe for this diorama. So we shall see. And then down here we have my Avatar Aang and Avatar Korra, the Nickelodeon shows shelf. So I actually did an Avatar Aang horse with the fire that usually comes out of his mouth, but it doesn't fit in the shelf. He also fell down from a shelf. This is why like his wings and a lot of things are broken, so I really need to fix him. And I just got this flocked upper pop figure, which is super cute, which is a limited edition box lunch thing, and the DVD of Korra. So there is a lot of room still, because I am waiting for the pop figures of Aang and Korra to be released to put right there. So I'm just smart and waiting for them to come. And then we have this tiny shelf in between with some of my favorite TV shows and DVDs. We have a pop figure of Katniss Everdeen and the DVD in the background. And then we've got a pop figure and a McFarlane figure of 11 from Stranger Things, because I adore her. And yeah, that's basically it. We do have some boxes down here with most of my kind of bodies. So these are like all traditional bodies. There's a lot of stuff in here, but we're just not gonna look at that because it looks nicer if it's just pushed in. Then we're gonna move on to this mysterious shelf, or yeah, that you haven't really been able to see yet. But this is my BreyerFest shelf, and this is probably my favorite shelf in my whole collection, because I split up this shelf to the years I've been to BreyerFest. I do have a lot of like things that I collect from BreyerFest, like the tickets, raffle tickets, the buttons and my diorama things. So that's like all in there. There's so much memory in this shelf, which I really like. And I usually collect the celebration model of the years I'm going, except for the first year I went, which was 2015. So I have this middle shelf kind of in between, which is like kind of the, I don't know, bridge between the years, because we do have 2015 here with the program in the background. This is the only special run I have left of that year. We've got some buttons, we've got some workshops that I did, we've got a piece of the diorama I did. And then we have in the background the stablemate set from last year. So this is like the overall Breyer kind of year. We do have BreyerFest 2014 program here and one of the special runs, but I actually didn't attend that year. But Gabby gave me some of the stuff from that year. We also have my Hidalgos, and one of them is actually signed, this one, that someone signed at BreyerFest. I just got it at the Clarion last year. But yeah, so this is the kind of bridge between the other years. So we started 2015. Then down here, it's 2016, the second year I went. So we've got some special runs. We've got my diorama piece, which actually I won that year. So it says winner. That was the 15 to 19. Back then I was still 19. We've got the celebration model in the background. We've got the program. Got 2 special runs. We've got special run tickets, buttons, and all that fun stuff. Then moving on, 2017, the Indian year, probably my favorite year. I think this is the year where I almost bought all the special runs they had. But in here we do have 2 special runs. We've got the store elephant, which is freaking gorgeous. We do have a stablemate that I painted with my friend at the BreyerFest stablemate tent painting thing. We do have some special runs, and I also did win that year the diorama contest as well. This is why I've got that ribbon. And then let's just move on. So we've got the bridge one, and then we've got 2018 2018? Yeah, 2018, off to the races. Again, we've got the program in the background. That year I got the stablemates came out the first year, and I bought the whole box, and I got a chase piece as well, which is in a different shelf, but this is why the unicorns are in here. We do have a piece of my diorama again. I didn't win that year, but I did win that costume contest. I was the volunteer for the first time, which is why my name tag is in the background. We've got one special one here, which is this gorgeous glossy Pam that was a special run that year. And you're probably all confused, who's this and why is she in here? So actually this year I went into different antique shops with Erica and her sister Carly, and she was one of the horses that I found in one of the antique shops, and I think she was like $5, and I'm like, she just looks adorable. I mean, she has a lot of rubs, and I think some of her spots were like actually drawn by a Sharpie, but she's just like one of these lovable horses, and that is like just a simple like memory piece for my time in the US after BreyerFest, because it's not just about BreyerFest. Got a plane ticket right here. And then we've got last year, 2019, against Celebration Model. I was a volunteer back then as well. I did win the costume contest again, which is why the 25 is right there, the number where I went with Erica, and we won the costume contest together. I didn't win the diorama contest, but we got some pieces of that down here. We've got some raffle tickets, other tickets. I do have 2 of the store specials, the silvers, and one of them I got signed by the owner. So that was actually the first time I ever got something signed at BreyerFest. So that was quite exciting. And yeah, and then just on top, we've got an empty box of the last unicorn statues and the empty box of my porcelain models, which are in the other room. But yeah, this is my BreyerFest kind of shelf, and this is probably my favorite shelf in my collection because I keep stopping and I see so many things that just remind me of the time in the US, which obviously now makes it harder for me to think about that BreyerFest is not happening this year. But I'm so glad that I was able to attend BreyerFest 5 years in a row and collect so many amazing models and memories. Okay, and then we move on to the last cabinet in my collection, which are my Schleich customs, resins, and other Schleich things. So this is a hot mix really. We also have this canvas piece that I've did back in school, which is inspired by the last unicorn, but it's like more or less about like, you know, animal cruelty and circuses, and there's a tiny human in his hands, kind of like a puppet. And this is a line I sculpted years ago in a really weird clay, so that's why it's not super detailed. But anyways, moving on to this shelf. So we have on the top a couple 3D prints. This is one of my customs that I scanned at college and got it printed at college. I've got this one when I did an internship at a 3D printing shop. We do have a couple resins in here. So we've got some Kelly Savage resins. We've got some Maggie Bennett resins. And we've got my 2H0 figures that I painted and the 2 jars that I made for them. It's just really hard to see because this dude is laying down as well. They're just super, super tiny. Then we do have my T. Przewalski customs. This is still my most successful custom I have ever done. It's got so many champions, reserve champions, first places, and like there's so much wrong with him now looking at him because he's an old work of mine. He's got a lot of flaws now, so I don't really show him anymore. So I did make him a mare, I think 2 years ago. But even if I put them both in the class, he's always placing over her, even though she's like anatomically correcter and she's got a nicer paint job. But I really do like them both a lot. So yeah, then we do have some more Schleich custom that I've done. These are, again, really successful ones that I've done years ago. She's a really nice Appaloosa with like a lot of like details and tiny hairs, but again, quite old still. This girl was my first depot Schleich figure, and this is my most recent depot Schleich figure, which is actually the Trakehner mare that I sculpted for Schleich, but we will get to that later on. This is one of my favorite customs. It's like a unicorn deer foal, and I think it's so adorable if my camera would be focusing on it. But it's just too cute for my camera to handle. So anyways, moving on to my Cobra mares. So I'm actually obsessed with the idea of Cobra mares, which are Andalusian mares that have a roached mane, and they usually wear a collar, and they have the tip of their tail shaved as well with numbers in order of how they are connected in a Cobra. And you have this dude who's like leading them in a way. So I have these 4 mares, which are made out of this model, which is the WIA model that you can get in Germany. So I used her to customize all 4 of these mares, and they're probably my favorite ones in my collection, just because they've got so much personality and I had so much fun doing them. But I also made them all a foal, but they all just have their base color, and I haven't been able to finish them. Like, none of their mane and tails are painted, none of their hoofs are painted, they don't have any details. So they have been chilling in there for 2 years without any detail painted. So we shall see when I will finally get down to paint their details. Moving on to my kind of resin shelf. So this is a really, really old resin I've sculpted back in 2013, I believe, which actually got a reserve champion, which I still can't believe. She is a Zorse, zebra horse mix, and she's painted after my favorite Zorse in the world, which is called Eclise, which actually lives fairly close to where I am here in Germany. And then we do have a couple older resins that I've sculpted, and then this is like my second latest mare that I did, the sculpted Ganadera, a Cobra mare that I sculpted and painted, and she actually got 2nd place in Bensheim, which is a really big show in Germany, and I'm super hyped and super proud of her. And then we have some more of my own resins. So I did 5 miniature resins. We've got Patrick, Jester, then Polaris, Crocus, and Jupiter. This is the order they were released. And I've got 2 painted versions myself of Polaris and Crocus that I both painted myself, and I really, really like them. And then down here we do have some like Schleich special ones or limited edition models that I've collected over the years. I've sold most of them already. Like, this pair is actually sold already. She's going to be shipped out, or they're going to be shipped out to the Netherlands soon. But I found them the other week in my basement because I haven't been able to display them in my old flat. So it's quite nice to kind of look at them now, but I can't really appreciate them as much anymore. So that's why I sold most of them to go to new homes. And then down here we do have kind of my big cat collection. I'm a huge fan of white lions, and these are the Papo white lion family. And then I've got some tigers from Papo as well, because first of all, this male tiger is freaking gorgeously sculpted and painted, absolutely stunning. And then you've got this tiger mare, or female tiger with these tiny tiger babies, and they are so adorable. Look at their faces. So yeah, this is kind of random collection in between. And then these are my seniors, which means these are like all older customs that I've done who I haven't shown in years. So this is actually the very first the very first repaint I've ever done in my entire life. And then these are like kind of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So this guy was actually my first airbrush horse. And yeah, so there's a lot of like older ones in here. And as you can see, they actually did do quite well back in the day. But again, I don't really show them anymore. Yeah, so that's that cabinet. And then one last thing in this room is actually my Kadeshi medallion that Kylie Park sculpted, and I painted it, and I made this frame, and I made this kind of background that it looks like it's in kind of a fish bag thing. So I'm actually really, really happy with how it turned out, and I'm liking it so much that I had to like display it like this. And anyways, without further ado, let's just move on to the next room. Okay, so when we leave this room, we get to the hallway into my next room, but I've got some models displayed in here. So first of all, we've got my stablemate collection. This is probably really hard to see because it's all reflecting, but we've got my unicorn stablemates here. We've got my whole Alboroso stablemate conga that I've got with the 2 chase pieces, which I adore, and these really cool 2 variations. We've got some stablemate repaints that I've done over the years, and some other BreyerFest stablemate models and other fun things. And then you just turn around and you get to my unicorn kind of corner. So this whole entire shelf is dedicated to unicorns and all things unicorns, like customs that I've done in the past and all kind of unicorn things that I've gotten as a gift over the years. And we also have that yin and yang piece that I've done a couple of years ago with a narwhal and a unicorn. And we also have this unicorn hat. So let's just take a closer look at these dioramas that I've done in the past. So these are actually like the kind of variations of unicorns. So we have the normal unicorn here. They do have name tags with like a Latin name on the top and then the English name on the bottom. So this is just the normal unicorn with a lion tail and a goat beard and stuff like that in like a magical forest. And then we've got the unicorn horse breed, which is a more horse version of a unicorn. And then last but not least, we've got the unicorn mixed with a zebra. And you probably noticed this dude and this guy, they don't have horns. But I promise you, they actually do. I just kind of lost them in the move. So I will probably find them at some point. But yes, they are actually unicorns. And then if you go down here, we've got a lot of like random unicorn stuff that I've gotten over the years. Yeah, there's a Schleich figure actually, but like drinks and stuffed animals and other fun unicorn bits. And then down here, we do have these two customs that I've done in the past, a Pegasus and a unicorn. The Pegasus is the only non-unicorn in the shelf. And then we do have the Polaris resin that I've done in the past as a unicorn on this bubble. And we've got some unicorn liquid in the background. And then we've got some more unicorn bits down here. We've got kind of light. We've got a unicorn horn that I was wearing last year at BreyerFest for Breychella. Some pins, other fun things. We've got my only Hagen Renneker in my entire collection, which I got at Tennessee 2 years ago, I believe. He does have a broken horn, but he was so adorable that I just had to buy him. We've got porcelain unicorn condoms, unicorn books. And then up here, we probably got one of my favorite customs, which is the Lion and the Unicorn. This was done out of a Breyer Bobby Joe, and this used to be a Papo, I think, lion. And I do actually have this mirror down here, so when I get out of my room, I actually can see them because they are fairly hard to see in this shelf, but they still just had to get into the shelf, obviously, because it's a unicorn. And then in this corner, we have my lovely silver conger. As you all know, I'm congering the silver mold. So this is the majority of my silver conger. You have seen in my BreyerFest shelf that I have some silvers over there as well, but the majority of them is in here. I think about 20 of them are actually in this shelf. So on top we have kind of decorators, the two Pegasus that I own, the silver filigree and the charcoal, which are one of my two favorites in here. We've got Liberty in the background as well. And then most of them are kind of organized by color. So they kind of go from like light to darker. So we go from like a white to go to the black. And actually for the silver, there is a silver variation that is like a pearly silver, and I'm still unsure if I got a silver, a pearly silver or not, because he does look quite shiny, but I haven't really seen any other silvers, or I can't really compare him to any others. And yeah, and then down here we've got some paints and pintos, and still kind of color-based and organized. They're probably really hard to see, but I do own pretty much all of the silvers there are, except for like the runs under 100, I think. And then down here we also got the crystal silver. So yeah, that's that. And then let's just move into the next room. So the last room I have is my bedroom, with the most of my collection really. Let me just turn the lights on, which probably reflect a lot, but yeah, let's just move over here and start over here. So on top of this, we do have my Pegasus herd out of Schleich models and Safari models and a resin in there as well. So this was one of my favorite projects to ever do, to have this massive group. There are 5 mares, I believe, and 5 foals and 1 stallion, and you've got this dragon who's attacking the herd. So they were drinking at the water, and then this water dragon came out of nowhere and caught one of the foals. So this is kind of the moment how when the attack happened, and like the first Pegasus on the water area kind of lifting off, and like the other ones who were grazing kind of just realize what's happening. They're like lifting up their heads, and the other ones in the background still don't really know what's going on. So this is something I always wanted to do, and I really like how it turned out. I mean, I think it's still one of my most successful dioramas, because it got quite nice placings and stuff. So that's on top. And then in this cabinet below, it's really hard to see. I'm so sorry, the lighting is terrible. On top, we've got my unicorn shelf with my traditional scaled unicorns. I'm only missing the Huckleberry Bay unicorn. I do own the last 2 Unicorn Man full sets that Breyer released on their website, but they are in the UK right now, but they should be added to this collection very soon. And then underneath that, we do have my kind of pony conga with like most of my pony models. And if you couldn't tell already, I'm collecting mainly Appaloosas, and then buckskins and dapple grays. And then in the corner, we have got some random like vintage models. And then on the very bottom, really hard to see, we've got some older models, the Indiana pony. We've got some older molds, all Appaloosas. Love that Lady Faith. And then we do have some Breyer boxes that are just put here on display, and also my Dressage Elegance set, which is in my cabinet, the horse in my cabinet. Then we do have kind of my guitar and ukulele conga. This guitar I actually made myself. This is the main one I used to play on. I don't really play the guitar anymore. I do play the ukulele though. But anyways, this is model horse related. So we're just gonna turn around and look at this bit of the collection. So first of all, this kind of shelf is kind of my classic collection. I don't really want to collect classics, but I happened to just stumble upon a few of them. So we actually do have a donkey in there, which is traditional scaled, but then we've got these 2 guys, we've got this guy, we've got the new rearing classic Mustang, we've got the new Arabian, we've got this Western horse, and we've got an elephant down there as well. But this is kind of my classic shelf, so they're just chilling there. And then this is probably my favorite shelf of my collection. So in my old room, I didn't have the place of room to display molds together, but this is not necessarily my conga shelf, but some of them are congas that kind of happened. But mainly this shelf is organized by molds. So on top we've got my 3 ruffians. They are so big with their bases that they didn't fit into this Billy shelf. We've got my 2 Andalusians that are both surprise horses from last year. We've got my 2 cigar molds. We've got this dude who's the only one that doesn't have a brother. So he's just by himself. And then we've got my 3 Roxys, with this glossy girl being my favorite thing in the world. She's, I think, my most limited horse in my collection, and I just adore what she looks like in glossy. Then we do have my Mustang mare. We do have my Lonesome Glories with my, is it mirror image or reflector? I always mix them up. But still, this dude is freaking gorgeous. I absolutely love him. And then we've got my 2 straplesses with Anatomy in Motion, which is probably one of the coolest Breyer has ever done, with muscle reference on one side and then bone reference on the other. Like super helpful for sculpting. Like, highly recommend getting one. Then we've got my Smarty Jones with this surprise model, which is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's my favorite surprise decorator that I've ever done. And then we've got my 2 show jumpers, which I adore this mold, and one of my biggest grails is still to get a glossy Once Upon a Time. Then down here we do have my 3 reins. I adore this mold. I know a lot of people don't like the animation style, but I really like them. We've got my 2 Latigos. I actually do own the original Prima Club Latigo as well, but he's in the UK. Then we've got 2 Allegros and the 2 Desert Stardust that I've owned. Then down here is kind of my moody shelf. We do start with 2 Etherals, the Spoon Gold surprise model and the Fire. I am actually considering buying Water and Wind as well. So I don't know why I'm obsessed with Moody Sculpt so much. Because we've got 3 Etherals, no Esprits next to it, 2 surprise models and Lionheart, and then my 2 Nakota models, which is 1 surprise model and this other dude. And then down here, my largest Conga next to my silvers, which is totally unintentional. So this is the Zippin Pine. Zippo? I don't even know what mold name it is. It just happened to be that this mold comes in so many different Appaloosa patterns. So we do have a connoisseur model, we do have some regular runs, we do have some Breyer pop-up store exclusives. So I just like the variety of this mold, and it's so simple and it comes in so many different colors. So I just really like actually what they look like next to each other. And then we get to my favorite cabinet, I think. This is my cabinet full of my kind of favorite models I own in my collection, some of my customs and resins as well. But it's starting really great already on top because this is my Spanish riding school kind of shelf. So I have been to the Spanish riding school 2 years ago and I did a tour, so there is a ticket somewhere proving, this is my ticket, proving that I did a guided tour when I went to the Spanish riding school, which is freaking gorgeous. If you ever make it to Austria, you have to visit. So when I was there, I got some postcards in the gift shop and I also got this amazing bag. And I do own 2 sets of the Breyer Spanish riding school set. We have 1 still in box and 1 unpacked, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this set. Like the guy is really detailed, the door, the tech is really nice. There's so much information on this about the Spanish riding school, so highly recommend getting this set, and I would actually adore to see this newly released with a new Spanish mare. But anyways, moving on to my resin shelf. So on here we do have all of my traditional scaled and like other scaled resins as well. So we do have my own Pluto resin here. We've got a tadpole. We've got Vincenzo resin by Bridget Ebel. We've got this Arabian mare by a Russian artist, I believe. I forgot her name. We've got Kelly Savage's Very Little One and Little One. We do have quite a few Pegasus and Jumping Falls. So we have Excelsior, which is a resin by Raven Maddock. We do have 4 of these Jumping Falls, which are all done by Maggie Bennett. And then we have the Pegasus Fall, the Pegasus Family done by Kitty Control, but this is her stablemate version. So she sculpted them in traditional scale and then was shrinking them down to be in stablemate scale. So we've got the stallion, the mare in the background, and the foal. And then probably my most expensive purchase is this Sarah Ming unicorn, which is absolutely stunning and I love it. Then we get to my custom and porcelain model shelf. So I don't really own a lot of my own customs. The only customs I really do own is this area custom I did a couple years ago out of a Weather Girl, and this wine glass custom I did this year. Some I've probably seen this maybe on my Instagram. So this is a stablemate that I customized, an Albarosa stablemate, to be swimming in this liquid resin that is supposed to be wine/blood. But anyways, we've got my 2 porcelain circus ponies. We saw the box for them in the other room. I absolutely adore these because I'm a big fan of circus ponies. So I'm hoping to get the other set as well, the Palomino, or Palomino, I don't know how to pronounce it, BreyerFest set. And then we do have these 2 unicorns. So this is Aurora. This is a porcelain model I actually got in the Ninja Pit a couple of years ago for her original BreyerFest prize, because she was released at BreyerFest a couple of years ago. And I adore this model. I really do. I'm so glad they released it as a stablemate because I think she's absolutely stunning. And she has done so well on shows, and I think overall this is I simply love her. And then we've got this unicorn porcelain model as well, which is slightly smaller than her, sculpted by Kathleen Moody. And then we get to my favorite shelf. I love every single model in this shelf. So if there would be fire in my house, I probably would grab all of these 4 models. So we do have Rialto on the side, which is a glossy tortillas, or tortillas, how we say it in German, web special, and someone got picked and sold it for me for price. So thanks Stormy Strike again. I absolutely adore this dude. And then we've got the dressage horse, the Selenero, out of that dressage set that I showed earlier. This dude is so stunning. I got it in Germany actually for a fairly good price earlier this year, and I'm so glad I did, because he's so stunning. And then we do have those 2 volunteer models. So this is Man of the Hour, which I actually got myself last year at BreyerFest when I volunteered. He did have some flaws on his face that I've kind of fixed myself. He does have like a pretty rough thing on his hoof. I did email Breyer about it, but they didn't get back to me. So anyways, I kept him, but he is stunning. Anyways, we just kind of lost our base. There we go. And then in the background we have the volunteer model, I think Nottingham, from BreyerFest 2011. So obviously I didn't go that year, so I couldn't get it myself, but I bought it last year at BreyerFest for a pretty good deal. I think I paid like $350 or something, but the year before I actually was considering buying him for $600 in one of the rooms, so I'm quite glad I waited a year to get such a steal on him. And then down here we kind of got my family shelf. So we've got Rubicon on the side, which is probably one of the nicest connoisseur models Breyer has ever done. I'm so lucky to have him in my collection. And then we've got the Premier Club Mare and Foal set from, I think, last year or the year before. And I think they work so freaking nicely together as a family, not only because they are all sculpted by the same artist, Brigitte Eberl, but also because they all have this amazing detailed Appaloosa pattern. And then we move over here, we go through my Rainbow Weather Girl, which I recently got, which I freaking adore. It's a stunning model, to go to my Rainbow family. So these 2 are actually mares. We've got the glossy Weather Girl Pintaloosa, and then we've got Naomi and Wyoming. I don't know their names anymore. The Secession and LaFire Man Fall set, which was a BreyerFest special, I think back in 2014, and they used to be my biggest grail for years, and I'm so glad I have them. They are the only Secession and LaFire that I own, but they are so adorable. So yeah, we've got Stallion, Mare, Fall, and we've got Mare, Fall, so we've got a gay family and a heterosexual family. And then down here we have my big boys. So I'm not a big person on drafters, but I do like the Othello mold a lot. So we do have the volunteer model that I got 2 years ago, and I just had to keep him. He's absolutely stunning. We do have a Winter, which I got for $25 at BreyerFest one year, and I couldn't pass him. And then I just recently bought Sir Oliver again, because he was my very first Breyer that I ever owned and bought. And I sold him years ago because I'm like, oh, he doesn't fit in my collection anymore, and my collection is so big. But now that I have the room, I just recently bought him again on eBay. And then this dude is probably one of my most limited ones. I don't know how many there are. He was a Breyer event model, Big Easy Bash, I believe. His name is Chicory, and I think there are under 100 made of him. I actually ended up getting him in the Ninja Pit for his original price, which was still quite pricey, but he is a really nice model, and he has been doing really well at shows, as you can see. Alrighty, moving on from here to this kind of shelf on top. So this shelf is fairly small, so I didn't really know who to display there, but it actually fits really nicely for my zebras, which are one of my favorite things in my collection. So it's quite sad that they're kind of hidden up there, but I think they work actually quite nice. I do actually own the 2 other colors, the green and the blue, of the Christmas candy ones that came out last year, but they're still in the US at Erica's house, so I'm going to get them soon. And then I don't really collect foals, but I just happened to stumble upon some somehow. So we do have some foals up there, and then the Indian mare is kind of the babysitter because, you know, you can't leave foals by themselves. And then moving on from here, we just go down in this corner, and this is really sad kind of actually that this is so hidden, but this is my Schleich kind of shelf. So on top of it, we don't really have any Schleich figures, but we have this glass box with my five miniature resins that I've done, and these are actually the original epoxy or magic sculpted horses, and they do have like their name tags in front of them, which is you can't really see, and the year they were released. So this is actually just for me personally to just display the original work that I've done, and it's quite nice to see them all together in that sense. And we also have that fish hippocampus that I've done out of one of them. And then about the rest of these Schleich models, so in the middle we do have the unicorn decorated unicorn mare that I've sculpted. That was the first one I sculpted for Schleich, and we do have a prototype that isn't painted, and I'm so incredibly lucky that Schleich sent this to me. I freaking love seeing it without the paint, and this girl is the painted version, but she is like the test painted version as well. I think something is like slightly different color. I think these pearls are not as silver on the original that you can buy in stores now, so I'm quite happy to have this variation as well. We've got her foal next to it, which I didn't sculpt, but I just thought I just have to have it. And then actually down here we've got these kind of rabbits that they released for their 75th anniversary, and I've got two of them as a gift from Schleich, as well as this adorable donkey, which is Soap. This is Soap. This is one of their donkeys, not donkeys, pigs, I'm so sorry. This is a pig that is Soap, so my hands are actually really soapy and thingy right now. We've got my Trachena stallion, which I sculpted for them and was released this year. So super proud of this guy. Okay, and then the other two Schleich figures I did for them is the Moon Unicorn Stallion and the Trachena riding tournament horse, I believe. And then we do have some random Schleichs in between. We've got this limited edition Pinto. We do have some of my favorite old Schleich figures. We do have this amazing Schleich book, which I can just highly recommend. It is so freaking cool to see kind of how they made their things, how the mold making is working. There are like loads of pictures of the company itself, of how they sculpt the models in wax, how they do the molds. I mean, the whole book is in German, so I can see how for a lot of international people this is not really interesting, but it does tell you a lot about the history of Schleich and how they started out, and yeah, it's just really, really interesting to read and see, so I'm quite happy that I got this book. I mean, it was kind of released years ago. This is actually the Schleich company from the outside and some of the offices, because it is actually really, really gorgeous from the inside. And when I was at the Schleich company, I did get this bag. It was fairly cheap, and I was like, oh, let me just get this Schleich bag. And then in the corner, we do have this amazing elephant that Schleich did years ago, this fighting elephant, and it's so big, and I just really like it. But anyway, so this is my Schleich shelf with a lot of memory things as well. So we've got a Schleich shopping bag, and we've got a couple postcards that they send to me each year for Christmas. So there's 1, 2, 3 like Merry Christmas cards, and everyone signed it, and like every of the sculptors signed it. And yeah, I'm just overall so happy that I'm able to sculpt for this amazing company and bring joy to children with my sculptures. It's a dream come true, really. So yeah, that's it pretty much. That was my whole collection and my room tour. Congratulations if you made it this far into the video. I just want to apologize that a lot of the footage is really, really dark. I'm sorry. I probably could have used my ring light, but then it's really, really bright as well. So it's like kind of mixed in between, but hopefully you were able to get kind of a sense of my collection. I never really counted all of my traditional models, but I'm sure they're about like 130 to 150 maybe. But anyways, I hope you like this collection tour. Let me know in the comments how many models you've got in your collection, or if you can remember one of the models in my collection that you like the best. But yeah, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for watching this entire thing. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll talk to you guys soon. And happy shopping and happy BreyerFest still. Yay! Bye!